What looked like a simple 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter turned out to be worth over $1.7 million. And when you hear why, you'll never look at your change the same way again. It started like this. A retired Navy veteran from New Jersey was rolling up his spare change one evening when he spotted a quarter with an odd shine. The coin felt slightly different in his hand. The weight, the color, even the sound when he dropped it on the table. Something told him not to ignore it. And that single moment changed his life forever. When he looked closer, he realized this wasn't just any Ellis Island quarter. The details were sharper, the strike was unusually deep, and there was a mysterious double image on Lady Liberty's torch. At first, he thought it was his eyes playing tricks on him. But what he was holding was one of the rarest modern minting errors ever made. A coin the U.S. Mint never meant to release. Collectors call it the double-die Ellis Island quarter, and it's one of those mistakes that slipped through quality control unnoticed. A tiny misalignment in the die, the metal stamp that creates the coin's image, caused the design to be struck twice, just a fraction off. The result? A haunting, almost ghost-like image of Liberty and the immigrants behind her, frozen in doubled perfection. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the coin was authenticated and sent to auction, the bidding didn't just climb, it exploded. Dealers and collectors from around the world fought for it, recognizing the sheer rarity of a modern mint error that flawless. The final hammer price? $1.7 million. And it all started with a coin that almost got cashed in for groceries. Now, here's where things get even more mysterious. Only a handful of these 2017 P. Ellis Island quarters are known to exist, maybe less than 10 in total. Some experts believe a few more are still out there, quietly circulating in jars, pockets, or bank rolls. Think about that. Your next handful of quarters could hold a seven-figure treasure hiding in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when photos of the coin surfaced. The doubling on the statue's torch, the crisp details on the immigrant families' faces, all perfectly preserved. Dealers began scouring boxes of quarters, searching for even the faintest trace of that same doubling. And every discovery since then has pushed values even higher. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it's still happening today. But that's not the only reason these coins are special. The 2017 Ellis Island quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, a tribute to national parks and historic landmarks. It marked one of the final chapters of that series before the U.S. Mint shifted designs again. Combine that with a rare error, and you get the perfect storm of collectability, historical significance, low survival rate, and overwhelming demand. And yet, most people still don't realize what to look for. That's where you come in. Because right now, thousands of 2017 P. Ellis Island quarters are being used in vending machines, parking meters, and laundry rooms across the country. Hidden among them could be one of these million-dollar mistakes. The key is knowing what to spot before it slips through your fingers. First, check the mint mark. It must be a P for Philadelphia. Then, examine the front side under bright light or magnification. Look closely at Liberty's face, the torch, and the word Ellis. If you see doubling, especially around the letters or the edges of the figures, you might be holding something extraordinary. But here's the twist that fooled even professional graders. Some of the errors are so subtle, they only reveal themselves under a 10x loop. That's why many collectors unknowingly spend or trade away coins worth more than their car. The tiniest difference in strike quality or metal composition can mean the difference between 25 cents and a life-changing payday. And just when you think that's wild enough, consider this. A few examples have surfaced with a mirrored finish, a hybrid between a proof coin and a circulation strike. These coins were likely struck on leftover proof planchets, giving them an otherworldly shine. Those are the ones dealers are practically begging to find. If one turns up again, experts believe it could break the $2 million mark. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Coin forums are lighting up with photos and theories, and collectors are revisiting old rolls they'd long forgotten about. Everyone wants to be the next lucky person whose spare change turns into a jackpot. But what happened after that first sale is even more remarkable. The man who discovered it didn't spend his fortune on cars or vacations. He donated part of the proceeds to a local history museum, the very same place his grandparents passed through when they immigrated to the U.S. through Ellis Island. That emotional connection made the story even more powerful, and it reminded everyone why this coin means more than money. It's a piece of history, a symbol of hope, and now a legendary collector's dream. And yet, the mystery continues. Were these coins an accident, or did a mint worker intentionally release a few as a secret nod to the island's legacy? No one knows for sure. The U.S. Mint has never confirmed the exact cause of the error, adding another layer of intrigue. Every new discovery deepens the legend. Oh, here's the truth. If you have a 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter, don't ignore it. Check it under good lighting. Study every line, every shadow, every letter. Look for doubling, extra thickness in the design, or unusual shine. Because the next $1 million Ellis Island quarter hasn't been found yet, and it could be sitting quietly in your pocket right now. Collectors spend years chasing coins like this. But sometimes, fate decides otherwise. Sometimes, the universe hides treasure in the most ordinary places: a coin jar, a dresser drawer, a handful of change from the gas station. This is one of those stories that proves how a little attention can turn into a lifetime reward. So, before you cash in your change, remember this moment. The 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter has already made one man a millionaire, and there's no reason it couldn't happen again. The next great discovery could be yours, but the man who picked it up turned it into a fortune. I'm talking about the 2000 D Mint Mark South Carolina quarter, a coin so mysterious, so rare, that one lucky collector walked away with nearly $1.8 million. And here's the crazy part. Thousands of these quarters were once in circulation, hiding in plain sight. It all began with an ordinary day at a gas station in Columbia, South Carolina. A retired factory worker named Don thought he'd just dropped a regular quarter. But when he bent down and picked it up, he noticed something strange. The color looked slightly off, the edges sharper, and the design almost glowing. He tossed it in his pocket anyway. What he didn't know was that this single coin would change his life forever. A few weeks later, while cleaning out his coin jar, Don decided to take a closer look. Under the kitchen light, the quarter looked flawless, almost too perfect. It had the 2000 D Mint mark, featuring the palmetto tree and the state outline. But what made it special wasn't just its beauty. It was what hid beneath the surface, a minting error so rare that even experienced collectors had missed it for decades. This South Carolina quarter was struck on a different planchet, a leftover metal blank mint for another coin series. That tiny mistake, barely visible to the naked eye, created a shimmer and finish unlike any other. Experts later discovered only a handful of these error coins existed. And when Don's coin went to auction, bidders went wild. Prices jumped from thousands to hundreds of thousands in minutes, until one determined collector offered nearly $1.8 million to claim it. But that's not the only shocking part. Many of these rare quarters could still be out there, tucked inside old coffee cans, coin jars, or forgotten drawers. Collectors are now scouring their change, hoping to find that same legendary error, the one that turned a common quarter into a life-changing treasure. The story behind this coin goes deeper than just luck. The Denver Mint, responsible for the D mark, produced over 500 million South Carolina quarters in the year 2000. But during one short production window, a batch of planchets meant for foreign coins accidentally entered the presses. A few escaped quality control, and those few became priceless. Dealers were stunned when they confirmed the discovery. The metal composition didn't match any standard U.S. quarter. It was lighter, slightly smaller, and had an unusual hue under certain lighting. That was the clue that separated an ordinary quarter from one worth over $1 million. Collectors say this coin marked the turning point for the State Series quarters. It reminded everyone that even modern coins, not just old ones, could hide extraordinary secrets. And it sent the coin market into a frenzy. For weeks after the sale, coin shops across America saw people lining up with their pocket change, hoping lightning might strike twice. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Another collector in Texas found a second 2000 D South Carolina quarter with a nearly identical flaw. His coin wasn't in perfect condition. It had a few scratches and wear, but still sold for over $500,000. That confirmed what experts suspected all along. There could be a few more waiting to be found. The emotional weight of stories like these can't be overstated. Imagine holding what looks like an everyday quarter, the kind you've used in vending machines or parking meters, and learning it could pay off your house, your car, or even fund your retirement. It's not just about the money. It's about the thrill, the mystery, the dream that something extraordinary could be hiding in something so ordinary. And the deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. The coin's dime marks, the tiny imperfections from the minting process, make each rare piece unique, almost like a fingerprint. Some have faint doubling on the palmetto leaves. Others show misalignment around the outline of the state. These subtle signs, often ignored by casual collectors, are now the focus of treasure hunters nationwide. Dealers are paying huge premiums for uncirculated or lightly worn examples. Some even offer rewards just to inspect high-grade 2000D South Carolina quarters in person. And with online markets buzzing, the demand shows no sign of slowing down. But here's the kicker. Many of these coins were minted during the height of the state quarter craze. People collected them in rolls, sealed them away, and forgot about them. Some of those sealed rolls might contain one of these million-dollar miracles right now, untouched for 25 years. First, check for the D mint mark, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. That tells you it came from Denver. Then look closely at the coin's surface under good lighting. If it has a slightly different sheen or feels lighter than a standard quarter, it could be a wrong planchet strike. Flip it over and study the palmetto tree. If you spot subtle doubling or an unusual edge thickness, don't ignore it. That could be your ticket to a fortune. Another key detail. Many of these coins have a faint, almost ghost-like outline around the letters E pluribus unum. It's a signature feature of the error type. Experts use magnification to confirm it, but even a smartphone macro lens can give you a solid look. And here's a word of warning. Not every shiny quarter is valuable. Many fakes and replicas have appeared online. Genuine rare coins will have natural luster, proper weight, and clear minting details. If you think you've found one, get it authenticated by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade could multiply your coin's value instantly. What makes this story so powerful isn't just the rarity. It's the reminder that history, luck, and opportunity can collide in the most unexpected ways. Don didn't set out to become a millionaire. He just happened to notice something most people would have ignored. And that's what makes coin collecting magical. It's not just about what's old. It's about what's hidden. Think about it. Right now, millions of South Carolina quarters are sitting in coin jars, glove compartments, and dresser drawers across America, each one with the potential to hold a tiny, life-changing error. And one of them could be yours. So the next time you hold a 2000D South Carolina quarter, don't just see a piece of metal. See possibility. See the story of a man whose luck changed forever. See the secret that even the mint didn't mean to release. Because that's the beauty of treasure hunting. Sometimes, the greatest fortunes are the ones you never saw coming. Yes, a simple 2017 P mint mark Ozark quarter dollar. A coin most people spent without a second thought. But for one collector, it became a life-changing discovery worth up to $1.90 million. It started like any ordinary day. A man from Missouri was cleaning out an old jar of change he'd been keeping on his dresser for years. Quarters, dimes, pennies, nothing special. But as he picked up one particular quarter, something caught his eye. The shine, the edge, the details, they looked different. He almost threw it aside. Almost. But what he didn't realize at that moment was that this little 2017 P Ozark quarter was about to rewrite his financial future. Now, let's take a step back. The 2017 Ozark Riverways quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful series, a tribute to national parks and historic sites. Most of them are worth 25 cents, maybe a few dollars in mint condition. But a few rare errors from the Philadelphia Mint? Those have collectors losing sleep. The Philadelphia Mint had one of those unforgettable years, a time when quality control slipped and miracles were accidentally created. Some of these Ozark quarters came out with double strikes, off-center minting, or even missing layers of metal that revealed strange golden tones underneath. To the average eye, they look like minting flaws. But to coin experts, they're pure treasure. One coin in particular was found with a dramatic die clash. The kind of error that happens when the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly images on the coin's surface. That single mistake turned a 25-cent piece into a six-figure collectible. But that wasn't the only one. When another version surfaced with a dramatic off-center strike and full visible mint marks, The bidding war that followed was unreal. Dealers were stunned. The coin world went silent for a moment, then exploded with excitement. Everyone wanted to know how something so small could carry such enormous value. And when that final hammer came down at auction, the crowd gasped. The Ozark quarter had sold for just under $2 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More collectors began combing through their change. Gas stations, laundromats, old jars, vending machines, anywhere coins might hide. Stories started surfacing across the country. A woman in Arkansas found one while paying for groceries. A retired man in Ohio discovered one in a coin roll he'd been saving for years. One by one, these discoveries reminded everyone of a simple truth. Sometimes, fortune hides in plain sight. The answer lies deep in the minting process. During production, a small number of Philadelphia struck quarters received what experts call planchet layering errors. In simple terms, the metal layers separated slightly before striking, creating odd ripples and distortions across the surface. The result was a coin that shimmered differently, and collectors could tell instantly that something was off. Dealers rushed to authenticate them. Grading companies like PCGS and NGC were flooded with submissions. People hoped their ordinary Ozark quarters might be one of the chosen few. And in some cases, they were .1 man's ordinary pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And it didn't stop there. Each time a verified high-grade error Ozark quarter appeared, the prices kept climbing. First tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, and finally, the record-breaking sale that pushed it close to the $1.9 million mark. Collectors were shocked. Experts called it one of the most unexpected modern discoveries in U.S. coin history. Even seasoned dealers admitted they had underestimated this design. After all, how often do you see a coin from just a few years ago selling for the price of a luxury home? But here's where it gets even more interesting. There's a detail, a tiny, nearly invisible mark, that separates the $1 million Ozark quarter from the ordinary ones. Look closely under good light, just above the river scene on the reverse side. You might notice strange doubling in the lettering or faint ghost lines running through the water. These are signs of the die clash error. And if yours has it, you could be sitting on something extraordinary. But that's not all. The rim of the coin can tell another story. Some of the most valuable 2017 P Ozark quarters have slightly misaligned rims, a hint that the strike was off-center. Others have uneven thickness, a sure sign of minting pressure variation. These details seem small, but they're the difference between a 25-cent coin and one worth nearly $2 million. And if you think finding one is impossible, think again. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these coins, and some of the rare errors slipped quietly into circulation. They're still out there, hiding in cash registers, parking meters, and coffee shop tip jars. But what most people miss is the emotional side of this story. These coins aren't just metal. They're proof that luck, patience, and curiosity can still change a person's life. Imagine finding a coin in your change one morning, only to realize it could pay off your mortgage, your debts, maybe even your entire retirement. That's why collectors across the country are searching harder than ever. The Ozark quarter has become a legend, not just for its value, but for the mystery it carries. A modern treasure hunt born from a simple piece of American change. If you want to identify one yourself, start by checking for the P Mint mark. That's Philadelphia. Next, inspect the reverse side carefully for doubling or faint outlines that look like shadows. Examine the rim for any off-center striking or unusual width. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. And never clean the coin. That can destroy its value instantly. The truth is, the difference between an ordinary quarter and a life-changing one is often invisible to the untrained eye. But if you know what to look for, you might just find your own $1 million coin. Collectors are still talking about it. Dealers are still watching auctions closely. And ordinary people are still finding hope in every handful of change. Fortune doesn't always shine in gold. Sometimes, it hides in the silver gleam of a forgotten quarter. One that could be worth $1.90 million. The next time you hear that metallic clink of change in your pocket, listen carefully. That sound might not just be money. It could be destiny calling. But the man who picked it up had no idea he was holding a fortune in his hand. It wasn't gold. It wasn't silver. It was a simple 2000 P Mint mark New Hampshire $quarter coin. Just 25 cents in value. until someone realized what was hiding beneath its surface. Now, collectors everywhere are losing their minds. Dealers are scrambling, and one lucky man walked away with nearly $1 million for this very coin. But let's rewind for a moment, because this story doesn't begin in an auction house. It starts in the year 2000, right at the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, where billions of quarters were being struck for the new millennium. One of them, a New Hampshire state quarter, somehow slipped through the presses with a mistake so subtle, so rare, that it turned a common coin into a national legend. You see, the New Hampshire quarter features the famous Old Man of the Mountain, that granite profile carved by nature itself. Most of these coins look perfectly normal, but on a select few, the details tell a very different story. The mountain face is doubled, the letters appear slightly distorted, and under just the right light, you can see faint shadow lines where they don't belong. This wasn't damage. This was a double die error, a minting miracle that slipped past every inspection. One man in New England found one of these quarters in his pocket change and thought it looked a little odd. He tossed it in a drawer for months. Then one evening, while scrolling through an online coin forum, he saw a photo, his coin, right there on the screen. The caption read, 2000p New Hampshire double die, potentially worth over $1 million. His hands started shaking. He pulled out his coin and compared it. Every flaw matched. Every detail lined up perfectly. What happened next stunned the entire coin world that he took it to a dealer. The dealer stared through his magnifier, went silent, and called 2 more experts. They all agreed. It was genuine. That simple quarter, found in change, was worth a life-changing fortune. Now imagine that moment. You're standing in a small coin shop, holding something so ordinary, yet so powerful it could rewrite your future. That's the magic of coin collecting, that lightning strike moment when history, luck, and curiosity collide. But the story doesn't end there. As word spread, more people began searching, and they started finding similar coins, not identical, but close. Some had die cracks near the mountain. Others showed doubling on the letters, New Hampshire. A few even had off-center strikes where part of the design bled into the rim. Each one added fuel to the fire. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were suddenly paying thousands, even tens of thousands, for coins they'd ignored just months earlier. One auction in 2023 saw a pristine specimen, perfectly preserved, sell for nearly $1 million to a private collector who refused to let it out of his sight. It's not just the error, it's the story. The 2000p New Hampshire quarter marked a turning point in U.S. coinage. It symbolized a new era, the state quarter program, one of the most collected series in American history. More than 50 designs, one for each state, and billions of coins struck. Yet among all of them, this error coin from New Hampshire became the crown jewel. People began calling it the Granite Ghost because of how easily it could vanish into your change. Most people have seen hundreds of New Hampshire quarters without realizing the hidden fortune staring back at them. That's the danger and the thrill of it. But here's where it gets even crazier. Some experts believe that multiple dies at the Philadelphia Mint that year were slightly misaligned, creating not just one, but possibly several varieties of the error. That means there could be more undiscovered pieces still out there, hiding in jars, drawers, or even vending machines. Imagine being the next person to find one dot, and this isn't just speculation. In 2019, another collector from Ohio found a 2000p New Hampshire quarter with the same doubling pattern while sorting through his coin jar. He sent it to PCGS for grading. Weeks later, it came back labeled as an authentic major double die. This tiny detail, the misaligned strike on the mountain face, is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You could be looking at the coin right now and never noticed that. Oh, how do you tell if you've got one of these treasures? Look closely at the obverse. That's the side with George Washington's face. Then flip it over to the reverse. Focus on the Old Man of the Mountain. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. If you see doubling on the mountain's outline, especially around the nose and chin area, or a faint shadow line along the edge of the profile, that's your first clue. Next, check the words Old Man of the Mountain and New Hampshire. Genuine double dies show a slight split or ghosting in the letters. Finally, make sure it has the P Mint mark under In God We Trust. That's what confirms it was struck in Philadelphia. The source of this legendary batch to be careful though. There are plenty of lookalikes caused by damage or wear. Real double dies are crisp, symmetrical, and visible even under mild magnification. If you think you've found one, never clean the coin. Never polish it. That could destroy the value instantly. Instead, place it in a plastic holder and take it to a professional grader like PCGS or NGC. Dealers are still searching for these coins every day. They're rare, mysterious, and growing in value every year. Just imagine, a coin you've spent 1,000 times without thinking could be your ticket to a millionaire's life. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about metal and minting errors, it's about possibility. The idea that your luck could change in an instant. That something as small as a quarter could rewrite your story forever. But when the truth came out, it was worth over $1 million. I'm talking about the 2016 P Mint Mark Fort Moultrie quarter, a coin that's leaving collectors speechless and dealers scrambling to find one before it's too late. At first glance, it looks like any other quarter. Just another coin from the America the Beautiful series, right? But this particular one, struck in Philadelphia in 2016, hides a secret that turned a simple piece of pocket change into a fortune. And the craziest part? It could be sitting in your drawer right now. The story begins like so many others, an ordinary person sorting through coins, maybe rolling them up for a trip to the bank. That's when one collector noticed something strange about his 2016 Fort Moultrie quarter. The details on the soldier's face looked off. The edges of the cannon seemed doubled, distorted, almost ghost-like. He thought it was just wear and tear. But what he discovered next changed everything. That he posted a picture online, and within hours, coin forums lit up. That's not damage, one expert said. That's a double die error, and it's one of the rarest I've seen. Collectors from across the country started comparing their own Fort Moultrie quarters, hoping they had the same hidden flaw. But only a handful matched. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A verified 2016 P Fort Moultrie quarter with that exact doubling, clear on the soldier's musket and along the word Liberty, went up for auction. No one expected much. It started at a few $100s. Then the bids began to climb, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, until the final hammer came down just shy of $1.1 million. Dealers couldn't believe it. A modern quarter, worth 25 cents at face value, selling for over $1 million? It shattered expectations. Collectors who once ignored modern coins were suddenly emptying their pockets, digging through jars, searching couch cushions, desperate to find one of their own. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Not every Fort Moultrie quarter with a P Mint mark is valuable. Most are worth face value. But the rare ones have distinct signs, small clues that only trained eyes can spot. The doubling on the musket, the ghostly lines near the cannon's wheel, or even a light, misplaced mint marks slightly off-center. These tiny imperfections are what separate an ordinary coin from $1 million miracle. One story that made headlines involved a retired veteran from South Carolina. Fittingly, near where the real Fort Moultrie stands. He found one of these quarters while buying a cup of coffee. It jingled in his change, nothing special. Weeks later, after watching a video about error coins, he decided to take a closer look. Under a simple magnifying glass, he saw it, the faint doubling around the soldier's uniform. He nearly dropped it in disbelief. That coin was later verified by a grading company and sold privately for a life-changing sum. Collectors were shocked. Dealers began warning each other. Don't underestimate the 2016 P quarter. It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime errors. People started calling it the soldier's shadow because of the eerie doubling that seems to create a second image right beside the soldier. Experts traced it back to a minting mishap, a slightly misaligned die that struck the coin twice during production. These mistakes are supposed to be caught and destroyed, but a few slipped through, unnoticed, into circulation. And those few are now the most sought-after modern quarters ever minted. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Because when you look at the Fort Moultrie quarter quickly, everything seems normal. But under the right light, you'll see it. The faint doubling on the design, almost like a shadow frozen in metal. Imagine holding that coin in your hand, knowing that this simple piece of change could pay off your home, your debts, your future. That's not fantasy. It's reality for a lucky few. And it's why collectors across the country are checking their 2016 P quarters right now. But here's the secret most people don't know. Many of these valuable coins are still out there. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 350 million Fort Moultrie quarters, and experts believe fewer than a dozen true double-die examples have been found. That means there could be others, hidden in jars, old wallets, or forgotten drawers, just waiting to be discovered. Dealers are paying top dollar for even minor errors from this series. A light die clash, a small misaligned strike, or a partially missing design could be worth hundreds, even thousands, depending on the condition. And if you find one of the ultra-rare double dies, you're sitting on something worth a fortune. One appraiser even called it the modern treasure hunt for the working man. Because unlike gold or silver, these coins are out there, circulating in plain sight, waiting for anyone sharp enough to recognize them. Think about that for a second. The same quarter you might toss into a vending machine could actually be worth more than your car. And that's not exaggeration. It's already happened. Collectors often say, the mint never sleeps. Every year, millions of coins are struck, and every so often, a mistake slips through that changes someone's life. The 2016 Fort Moultrie quarter is proof of that. It's the kind of find that reminds us why we keep looking, why we check every coin, even when it seems ordinary. Because sometimes, ordinary hides extraordinary. So how do you spot it? Start with the obverse, the George Washington side. Look closely at the word liberty, and in God we trust. Doubling can appear faint, like a blurry shadow under the letters. Flip the coin to the reverse, the image of Sergeant William Jasper holding the flag. Focus on his musket and uniform. Any doubling or ghost-like edges could mean you've got one of the million-dollar coins. Also check the mint mark. On the Fort Moultrie quarters, it should be a crisp P. But some rare errors show a slightly tilted or doubled P, a telltale sign of misalignment. Those are the ones dealers go crazy for. Condition matters too. If the coin looks sharp, with minimal wear, protect it immediately. Place it in a plastic holder or coin flip to prevent damage. Then, have it appraised by a reputable grading service. Because even the smallest detail can make or break the value, and you don't want to risk handling something worth $1 million like loose change. Collectors often say the joy isn't just in the money, but in the discovery. That moment when you realize something in your hand isn't just metal. It's history, mystery, and pure chance combined. The Fort Moultrie quarter carries that magic, but it's sold for over $1 million. And what's even crazier, it was a 2001 mint mark New York quarter, the kind most people have sitting forgotten in a jar of change right now. When collectors first heard about this sale, the coin world froze. How could a quarter minted in 2001, a coin that's only a couple of decades old, be worth $1.2 million? The answer hides in a tiny detail that 99% of people never noticed. Let's rewind for a moment. The year 2001 marked the release of the New York State Quarter, part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, a project meant to celebrate all 50 states. Over 1.2 billion New York quarters were struck, making it one of the most common in circulation. But among those billions, a few rare mistakes slipped out of the Philadelphia Mint. Coins struck slightly off-center, double-die errors, and even wrong planchet strikes. One of those mistakes would turn an ordinary 25-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The story starts with a man named Robert from Albany, New York. He wasn't a collector. He was just cleaning out his car one morning when he noticed a quarter sitting under the seat, a 2001 New York quarter with something odd about it. Lady Liberty's torch seemed slightly blurred. At first, he thought it was just a smudge. But when he looked closer, he realized the letters in Liberty were doubled, a clear sign of a double-die strike. Robert tossed it into his pocket and went about his day, but something about that coin stuck in his mind. That night, curiosity got the best of him. He went online, searched rare 2001 New York quarter errors, and what he found changed his life. Collectors were reporting incredible finds, New York quarters with double strikes, misaligned minting, and even one struck on a golden Sacagawea dollar planchet. Some were selling for tens of thousands. It was different. It had multiple error layers, doubling on the Statue of Liberty's torch, a partial off-center strike, and a faint die clash on Washington's face. He took it to a local coin shop, and when the dealer put it under the loupe, his hands literally shook. "You need to send this to PCGS immediately," the dealer said, referring to the professional coin grading service, the gold standard in authentication. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When PCGS received the coin, they confirmed the impossible. Robert's quarter wasn't just an error coin. It was one of only a handful ever discovered with a triple strike, minting error on a state quarter. This meant the coin had been struck 3 times in the minting press, each slightly offset, creating a ghostly, layered appearance that experts had never seen on a 2001 issue before. The auction house listed it with an opening bid of $50,000. Within hours, the price doubled. Collectors around the country were frantically bidding, determined to own what was being called the New York Phantom Quarter. When the final gavel fell, the coin had sold for $1.20 million. A $1 million quarter, born from a factory flaw, rescued from a car floor mat. But this story didn't just shock collectors. It ignited a nationwide hunt. Suddenly, people were checking their pockets, digging through coin jars, searching through years of forgotten change. Coin dealers reported a surge in calls. "Do you buy 2001 New York quarters?" became the question of the year. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Experts believe there could be more of these out there. See, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity in 2001, cranking out quarters for the State Series. The heavy workload led to die fatigue, small cracks and misalignments in the minting machinery. When that happens, subtle doubling, planchet mix-ups, and strike shifts can occur. The result? Rare, high-value coins hidden among the ordinary ones. But the key is in the details. And here's where you need to pay attention. That if you have a 2001 New York quarter, start by flipping it under a bright light or magnifier. Look closely at the Statue of Liberty's torch and her crown. Any doubling or shadow-like effect around the lines could indicate a double die strike. Next, check the rim. Is the edge perfectly centered, or does it look slightly off? Off-center strikes can skyrocket value instantly. Finally, check the color. A handful of these quarters were accidentally struck on golden dollar planchets. They look like they're made of gold, but are actually minting accidents worth tens of thousands, sometimes even more. Dealers are still on the lookout for coins with partial mint marks, ghost images, or die clashes, signs that the coin was struck abnormally. A verified PCGS graded example with even one of these features could easily fetch hundreds of thousands today, and some experts believe the right combination could push past another $1 million mark. Collectors were shocked when PCGS officially recognized the New York Phantom Strike as one of the rarest modern errors ever recorded. It wasn't an old coin from the 1800s. It was a 2001 quarter, something anyone could have in their collection right now. That's what makes this so exciting. It proves that hidden treasures are still out there. Even in the most common change point, one man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And yours could too. But remember, this isn't just luck, it's awareness. The people who find these coins are the ones who look closer. The ones who slow down, turn a coin over twice, and notice when something just doesn't seem right. The next time you find a 2001 New York quarter, take a moment. Hold it up to the light. Examine every detail, the texture, the shine, the spacing of letters, even the edge. That small habit could be the difference between 25 cents and $1.2 million.